You're the highlighter? Okay. What's that from? You like cyanotic? Do you know what that means? No, like lacking oxygen. Okay, you ready? Hello, welcome. Today is Monday, December 28th. Yes, I had to look at the calendar to know what the day it was. And we're going to be doing podcast episode number 10.
I should probably bring my mic over.
You should have your microphone. No one can hear you. It's amazing how it's been how long?
Over a year.
Why can't you get this correctly?
I don't know. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's real exciting that it's been technically over a year and you still can't get it correct. I'm going to try to turn down your lights a little.
Doesn't seem like it's doing everything. Oh, there you go.
We just watched the Hobbit trilogy, and so we're ready to fucking, like, let's go. Let's party in the Shire. Let's fucking
Rave
go.
in the Shire.
Everybody, put your drinks in the air. Put your drinks in the air. Put your drink in the air.
Oh, sorry. They do seem like they'd be fun people to drink with.
All right.
Okay. Well, let's get it going.
No, we're not getting going just yet.
Oh, let's not
I
get going.
have to. So earlier, maybe about an hour and a half ago, hour 45, Lauren scared the shit out of me. I'm up here in the studio working. I'm editing. I've been working all day.
What are you gonna say?
Minus the time I went to Best Buy to look at new computers. I've been working all day trying to get different videos together and clips for a new updated trailer for our Twitch and all. Okay. So Lauren texted me, come downstairs, ... I need you right now. And I think, holy shit, something terrible has happened. I am in so much trouble. I don't even know what I could have done. I thought maybe something came in the mail for me that was like, you're being arrested. And it's like, I don't know. I had no idea what's happening. And we get downstairs. Well, I get downstairs. I book it downstairs. I'm like knocking things off the dresser behind me because like I run out of my seat so quick. And it's literally just to like show me how cute Jerry looked. It's like, are you fucking for real?
It was an emergency of cuteness.
But you can't be like, I need you here right now. Like, I need you. Like, put some context. That's what we got emojis for.
I'm so sorry.
No, I don't think you are.
I did apologize because I did hear you hit the dresser 2 floors up.
Yeah, Lauren, we're in a basement apartment, and I'm in the studio on the 2nd floor, and I crashed into that thing. It's like, come on. She came down. I ran down. I literally thought something major happened. Hey, Lauren.
Hey.
Hitting that
That's
6-month
Woo.
sub. Oh, shit. Thank you so much. Cheers, Lauren. I hope you had a great Christmas, and I hope you're getting ready to fucking boot 2020.
What's up? Yeah, hindsight is 2020.
Oh, man, Lauren, your emoji's so much better than mine. Oh, that's so cool, yours.
Mine?
The shred, yeah.
Yeah, how do I find that again?
It'll be in your emoji list, like in global or like.
Oh.
I don't know if
Oh,
it.
got it. It's in my hindsight 2020.
Oh, hindsight
Yeah.
2020. Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if it'd be like global
I
or.
thought it was a Pokemon. I was like, what is this?
Nah, it's just a dude with a rocket launcher. Oh no, that's a guitar. It's a
yeah.
guitar. Still, I thought it was a rocket launcher. It's way cooler than mine. Although the snacking's kind of cool too. It'd be good if like people are arguing or debating. That'd be fun. But yeah, thanks, Lauren. I hope you're doing well. So we're, I guess, gonna get started in our episode here. What do we got? We're doing
Nothing to it but to do it.
nothing to it but to do it. That's
End of the
fucking-
year countdown
You
for
guys,
us.
do you guys want to do it? Oh yeah, I know you guys.
Shut
I know
up.
you want to do it.
Stop.
You're drinking my soda.
That's what you get for acting like a dumbass.
That's what I get for acting like a dumbass.
Crashing in the dressers and shit.
That's your fault, and I'm trying to put on like a sultry voice for our, for our viewers. That everybody loves that deep, rich voice, that slightly seductive voice.
I really wish you would stop doing that. I think you're freaking us all out over here.
Lady, you're scaring us. I'm uncomfortable.
Extra sloppy.
Phrasing.
All right,
So, yeah.
let's do our 2020 countdown.
I feel like we should have some special music. I don't have special music
Like the final countdown.
like the final countdown. What I do have is instead a soundboard, and Lauren's gonna hate it.
Pokemon soundboard?
Forsen, hey, what's happening here? We're getting ready to film season 2, episode 10 of our podcast. We're going to be doing a top 10 discoveries of 2020. And so that was our little intro music. And
Wow.
I found that Pokemon soundboard and I love it. So, is there anything else fun on there that I can... I feel like I'll be using this a lot when I do my next Nuzlocke.
God damn it!
So that's fun.
There's a lot on there.
There's 6 pages of this.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a Boomer Pokemon soundtrack. Definitely. Oh yeah. No, we're definitely gonna go vintage in this. Just because. But anyway, we are going to be recording, and while we're recording, unfortunately, we can't get to chat.
But you guys can talk to each other.
You guys can talk to each other, and you can talk to us too. But we won't be able to respond verbally. Maybe we can type in chat. Although last time I did hear the typing of the keyboard in the episode,
Oh, sorry.
and I
about
really
that.
had to work hard to edit that out. So this goes. This is our podcast episode, and we release it on Tuesday, so tomorrow morning. So I don't want to do a crazy amount of editing or tonight. So we'll respond to anything in chat or any alerts and anything like that after we finish recording, and then we'll open up the discussion to pretty much whatever you guys want. And so there we go.
Should have worn my hashtag blast shirt.
Should have worn your hashtag blessed. So we are recording.
Nice.
And
Do you turn off alerts?
alerts are off.
It's the final countdown.
Okay, we are recording everywhere.
even our underwear.
Don't do that.
Sorry.
I'm keeping that in the episode.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, that's why I said we're recording.
Today, we're going to revisit some of the top scientific discoveries and events in what was surely a year to remember. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Just Now Science Podcast. Each episode, we debunk ridiculous yet common science misconceptions we find online and get just a little salty about them. I'm your favorite science teacher, Lauren.
And I am extremely happy this year is over, Nick. Before we get started, we would love to end the year with 50 5-star ratings on Apple. And if you're listening on Apple, a positive rating and review helps us so much. However, we know a lot of our listeners are on CastBox, so liking the episode on CastBox and leaving positive comments also help so much. Plus, we read every one of them.
So this episode, we thought we would revisit some of those top discoveries and even just some major events that happened in science. We wanted to finish off this so terrible year with maybe a little positivity, looking back on some of the big things that happened. Not everything's positive, but there's some pretty cool stuff in here. So first thing we want to talk about, number 10 on our list was huge. It was life on Venus. So the atmosphere there is dominated by carbon dioxide, about 96%. So it's pretty inhospitable environment on the surface. But back in the day, it most likely had oceans, rain, snow, so it had its own water cycle, maybe even continents and plate tectonics, and perhaps even surface life. But since its climate has changed drastically about 1 billion years ago, there was this Runhouse green effect. Almost no life exists on Venus anymore. So it was really spectacular to find a little hint that there was something going on in the upper atmosphere. And so it was speculated, so we had found phosphine in the upper atmosphere, which is usually a byproduct of different types of microbial life. But I have recently read an update on this, and they were going to go back and review some of the data and just make sure everything lines up. So we can't fully say this is a definite yet.
You know, I did not know about the update until earlier today, and that would be such a shame.
It'd be so 2020.
It really would be 2020. Number 9 on our list, and these are in no particular order really, is the Nobel Prize for hepatitis C being awarded to female scientists. Doctors Harvey Alter. Oh no, wait. What? I thought there was female scientists.
I don't know,
I'm sorry, chemistry.
Else. Yeah.
Chemistry was female scientists. I'm stupid.
The Nobel Prize for chemistry. Yeah. 2 female scientists.
Yeah. Whoops. We're going to redo that.
Dang, that Harvey Alter's real hot.
That's Number 9 on our list, and these are in no particular order, by the way, is the hepatitis C virus discovery. We talked about this in Season 1, Episode 49. Doctors Harvey Alter, Michael Houghton, and Charles Rice won the 2020 Nobel Prize in Medicine and Physiology for the discovery of the hepatitis C virus. Their discovery was actually all the way back in 1989. This is pretty common where a discovery takes 10, 20, maybe even longer years before it's recognized for a Nobel Prize. Hepatitis means inflammation of the liver, with hepa coming from hepato, meaning liver, and itis, meaning inflamed.
It's got that itis.
Don't say that. You said that last time and I told you not to say it.
Did I? I'm sorry.
Yeah. The hepatitis C virus is a virus that infects the liver and causes inflammation. We just said that. And this inflammation can lead to scarring called cirrhosis. Yes, it's similar in nature to the cirrhosis you get from alcohol-induced liver disease. Prior to the discovery of hepatitis C vaccine, we only knew about hepatitis A and B, and now we know about hepatitis A through E. So,
and pretty soon it'll be A through Z.
Just move on. Usually people don't see the symptoms for a while. It's not until moderate liver disease where patients will start to experience symptoms. A lot of the symptoms are fairly common, like nausea, bloating, and abdominal pain, fever, fatigue, loss of appetite, but the most well-known symptom is jaundice, or a yellowing of the skin, and sclera, which is the name for the white of your eyes. Today, hepatitis C is treated pretty easily with antiviral medication.
Number 8 on our list was the SpaceX launch. And this was huge just because this was really the first time not like a private company this is the first time the private company has gone to space, period. So the May launch of the SpaceX vehicle Crew Dragon was the first time any private vehicle had delivered astronauts to the International Space Station. And other notable space things to happen this year was the Chinese lunar craft that collected moon rocks for the first time in about 50 years.
We talked about that in our last episode, season 2, episode 9, where we talked about, was the moon landing fake? And no, it wasn't. Number 7, functioning mitochondria in the blood. So earlier in February of this year, we found the first evidence of circulating mitochondria in the blood. And earlier studies have shown pieces of mitochondria freely circulating in the blood, which can get released following damage to cells. But to find fully functioning mitochondria in the blood was something totally different that scientists were not expecting. And for the record, I have always hated the phrase powerhouse of the cell. It's like the only thing students ever remember about the mitochondria, but they don't know what that actually means. The mitochondria has 2 functions. The first is cellular respiration, which produces cellular energy called ATP from glucose, a type of sugar. The second function is it's the site of what's called beta oxidation, which is the breakdown of fatty acids. Back to the discovery, we don't really know why they're in circulation and how they got there, what they're doing. We just know more studies are needed to figure all that out.
Why is it that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell is like the one thing everybody remembers from biology?
I don't know. Maybe because it's just a phrase. It's like an easy phrase that you're tested on, and it's like in every single textbook. I have no idea.
I literally think they asked that in the Regents too.
They
but
probably
does
do.
it like strike some like image of like bodybuilders lifting? That's what I think of when I think powerhouse. But anyway. Number 6 on our list is DeepMind AI, or Google's DeepMind, in London, can predict the shape of proteins based off their amino acid sequence.
So cool.
Yeah. So this DeepMind, as I mentioned, is a Google offshoot, created the artificial intelligence program called AlphaFold that made this breakthrough. And it's hoped that technology like this will enable scientists to better understand how cells are made and speed up the development of certain drugs. So understanding protein shape directly correlates to the function of the protein. And if we can understand how they affect the brain, then we can create drugs to target them more effectively, and this will help with many diseases such as Alzheimer's. So if you ever hear about denaturing of proteins, that means they like almost unfold and they lose their shape, and when they do that, they lose their function. So a protein and their shape are really important to understand. It's very important for their effectiveness. But additionally, while doing research for this episode, I also found out that Google's DeepMind system also outperformed 6 human radiologists in spotting abnormalities
God.
on X-ray images of nearly 29,000 women, which means that they have been really amazing at detecting certain types of cancers. So they demonstrated 98% sensitivity and 97% specificity at detecting prostate cancer. And they've also gone beyond that and done high performances for tumor grading, sizing, and invasion of surrounding nerves. So really awesome stuff with this Google's DeepMind.
It's interesting that you mentioned they were better than 6 radiologists on X-rays in women. But they didn't mention men. So does that mean that for whatever reason, radiologists aren't performing as well on female X-rays?
Right. And I was kind of expecting the article to say that it maybe was for like breast cancer or something. I don't know, but it never specified.
Also, there was, I don't think it was this year. There was a study that talked about using crows to diagnose issues or spot abnormalities on x-rays and other radiological exams. So that's pretty cool. And yeah.
Why crow? I mean, I know crows are super smart, but like, are they that much better than us that we're like, we need to defer to you guys on this? What do you think of this
I don't think it's that
X-ray?
they're better. They're just very good at detecting patterns. Anyway, number 5.
It's wild.
Blood test of Alzheimer's, which is something I never thought I'd say. Back in October, the first blood test to detect Alzheimer's disease became available for physician use. It works by measuring 2 different types of the amyloid beta protein, amyloid beta 42 and amyloid beta 40. Plus, it compares the presence of variants of the apolipoprotein E. I always stutter on that. Apolipoprotein E, also known as APOE, which is associated with Alzheimer's risk. And I've heard about these tests going on to try to validate blood samples for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and they always have come up short. And so as someone who has a master's in neuroscience, and I did my thesis on Parkinson's, to see a blood test for a neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's is absolutely incredible. And me personally, this is like number 1 on my list for the year. It's been, I never expected to see this, and neither did most researchers. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So maybe between that and Google's DeepMind, we can come up with some cool stuff for Alzheimer's in 2021.
I don't like the name DeepMind.
Listen, what do you want me to do? You want me to send a letter to Google?
I'm just saying it sounds like they need to do something about it. Like you get that phrasing, you know what I mean?
Is it like sexual?
Yeah, a little bit. It's like Google's DeepMind. It's like, whoa, what?
Whoa, Google, chill out, man. All right, well, number 4 on our list is we had recently found an old Homo erectus skull in Johannesburg, South Africa. And this is so cool because it is actually dated to 2 million years old. The skull marks the earliest remains of this ancient human ancestor. So our story of human evolution is constantly changing, but this doesn't mean that the story is made up or that scientists are lying, right? When they say evolution theory or the theory of evolution, it just means that we're always finding new pieces of the puzzle and conducting more analyses that help shape the picture. So sometimes these discoveries may change what we thought was our history, or maybe dates get moved around and pushed back, but that's science. But it's not debating whether evolution actually occurred. That's very important.
Like Lauren said, that is science and history, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's tough because you hear it's the theory of evolution, and you're like, oh, that means it's an idea. We have an idea that evolution. We have an idea that evolution occurred, but that's not the case. Scientific theories and regular theories, like why the last season of Game of Thrones was so bad, those are not the same.
Right. Scientific theories are backed by a lot of facts and evidence. So don't get that twisted.
Number 3, plastic eating super enzymes. And I always get a little concerned or a little bit hesitant to say things like super enzymes, superfoods, things like that.
You hate
like,
superfoods.
It's like certain trigger or buzzwords. I get hesitant, but I will consider this a super enzyme. In September, scientists announced that they have developed an enzyme system that can degrade plastic 6 times faster than previously possible. This super enzyme breaks down what's called PET, polyethylene tetraphthalate, and this is really commonly used in things like plastic bottles, carpets, and even some clothing. It's just a very common plastic. On its own, PET can take hundreds of years to degrade. Mm-hmm. However, with this PET ACE, ACE is just a suffix that they use to denote something as an enzyme, so PETASE, this PET ACE super enzyme, it can be broken down in just a couple of days. However, more tinkering and tweaking is needed before it can meet the demands and efficiency needed for commercial use, but scientists and myself are hopeful.
I am always nervous about something like this because I'm like, is there some unknown effect on the environment or something that we don't know about yet that this is going to cause? Hopefully not.
Yeah, maybe they grow to the size of skyscrapers from all the plastic and they just destroy Tokyo. I don't know.
Yeah, so they just tear down buildings. Number 2 on our list was not such a positive note, but I think it was a big enough event that it's worth noting. But the Australia and California, that they both burned in unprecedented wildfires. And you may have almost forgot it happened because these mainly occurred at the beginning of 2020. It was like the end of 2019 into 2020.
And this isn't so much a discovery, but it is, as I mentioned, very important.
I did mention events, discoveries and events.
Oh, okay. Well,
because of this specifically.
I guess fuck me then.
Listen a little better. So a study of 2019 to 2020 Australian bushfire season found that 21% of Australia's fires, 21% of Australia's forests, excluding Tasmania, have burnt down. So they're kind of using this as, not I want to say an excuse, but they're using this to highlight Australia and be like, this is kind of like ground zero for climate change. Like, look at the drastic things that are happening there. We need to look at that, pay attention, and take note. California also experienced much of the same. So as of December 9th, 2020, over 9,600 fires have burned over 4 million acres. That's more than 4% of the state's roughly 100 million acres of land, making 2020 the largest fire season recorded in California's modern history. And in Australia alone, during that major bushfire in the beginning of the year, over 1 billion animals had actually perished in that fire. So it's something we need to take note of and pay attention to.
And this isn't the last fire that existed or happened in the East, at least in the U.S. Back only 2 months ago or something like that, there was some fires in Colorado, and those were some pretty big fires as well. So climate change, fires, they do happen. There is a correlation there, and it is not because people aren't sweeping up the leaves at the bottom of the forest. I can guarantee it.
No, and I know this is like a very exciting or adrenaline-filled year, but we can't lose sight of climate change.
Number 1 on the list, and for most people, this is probably the biggest thing that happened this year, and it's COVID-19. Not only the
virus.
More specifically than just the virus, the vaccines that were able to be produced. So both Moderna and Pfizer have vaccines that they were able to produce, study, and release to the general public in just a few months, which is something incredible and is definitely worthy of celebrating.
Yeah, so in such like a dark period, this is definitely a moment of light. And not to forget, third vaccine that's coming up the pipeline with AstraZeneca.
Yeah, this is an amazing scientific feat of cooperation and focus on a scale that I literally can't put into words. It makes me stutter to think about.
I'd say that we've never seen, but we're like not that old, so that wouldn't say much.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for people who are only 30, we've seen a lot.
I know, that's true.
But I really want to highlight that instead of being skeptical of how fast we created a COVID vaccine, this is a time where we should be wondering how much could be accomplished if scientists didn't have to beg and fight tooth and nail for funding and resources. And don't get me wrong, I understand that not every single study on any scale can be funded, to the capacity in which the researchers may want, and that competition for funding is still going to be a thing. I get that. But just imagine if the US alone prioritized scientific research and discovery just a little bit more. Mm-hmm. It's...
Yeah, when I read that really struck a note with me. Like when I saw somebody talk about that, because all I hear about when it comes to the tweets is, people being skeptical and like, well, how come we were able to do it so fast and this and that. But then like if you shut that out for a minute and you really look at it from this point of view and be like, wow, how amazing is that we accomplished this? And what more could we possibly do if we were able to put more money and more focus and more value in science and drug research than we've been doing? And it really makes you sit back and wonder, like, damn, we're probably missing out on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, how many people have you heard say, "Oh, pharmaceutical companies, they don't want to cure cancer. They just want to give you treatments." And I see this meme constantly floating around on my timeline, or usually when I go digging for myths and misconceptions. It's like, it's a professor at a chalkboard, and it says, "A patient cured is a customer lost." And it's like, there's such a warped way to view science and medicine. Yes, these companies are out to make money, but the people that work for the companies want to improve the quality of life of humans. But anyway, that's a totally different subject. And we did want to list off 2 quick honorable mentions, things that are pretty significant, but maybe not the top 10 discoveries of the year.
It was basically our way of putting 12 in the episode. So
we each chose one thing as an honorable mention, and for me, it was that scientists discovered a new organ. And we just posted this on our Instagram, so if you want to learn a little bit more, definitely go check it out. But it's a salivary gland that exists behind the nose, where we previously thought nothing existed.
Is that what they were poking when they took my COVID test?
No.
Because they got pretty far up there.
No. This is more medial versus
Gotcha.
superior.
Gotcha. And my honorable mention was recently the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, because they haven't been that close in 800 years, and I missed it, and I'm still upset about it, so I wanted to talk about it again.
I am putting a link in the show notes to a meme that I saw about the Great Conjunction. It was like I forget who it was, the woman walking in, like, it's like the talk show. It's usually like a 3-panel meme.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
And she's like strutting in, and it says Great Conjunction, and then the woman walking in is clouds.
Yeah. It's like that. Well, I also missed it because the timing I read was off.
Yeah,
and it was below the horizon before I really could go out and see it.
Man, let me just say, trying to explain a meme makes it so not funny.
I also think I know which one you're talking about, and I'm pretty sure it's Angela Merkel from Germany.
I don't know. It might be.
So, not a talk show.
No, I'm saying I think she was going on to like a talk show or something.
Gotcha.
But anyway, that's going to do it for us today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and especially share it. It takes literal seconds to hit subscribe and click the 5-star review button, and it would mean a whole lot to us. Positive ratings and shares on social media are the biggest ways you can help us spread this good science to even more people. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at JustNaScience. You can also visit our website, justnascience.com, where you can watch YouTube videos, read blog posts, or submit questions and suggest topics for future episodes. And one quick little extra thing, if you listen this far, I just started a second YouTube channel where I do Pokemon stuff. We're playing Pokemon trading card. We're doing video game stuff. So, if you like Pokemon, come check it out. It's called 9Card TCG, and you can find the link in the show notes or in the episode description.
And don't forget, we put out new episodes every Tuesday. And as always, thanks again for listening, guys.
Later, nerds.
Later, gators.
Woo! All right. There we go. Podcast episode done.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you so much, Lauren, for the 5-star rating. I appreciate that.
I don't know if it looks like this on yours, but my cameras look very blurry.
Your cameras look blurry?
Yeah.
That might just be your thing.
Okay. Thanks. It was a shaky start for me on that episode, but I think we finished strong.
Yeah, what was your deal today?
I don't know. What was my deal? I was like having trouble reading my notes.
Yeah, I know.
It's maybe because I didn't have my glasses on.
Wait, one second. I'm just saving
No,
this.
it's okay. I feel like when I see myself with my glasses on now, I look goofy. And they're not even real glasses. They're like blue light glasses. But I feel like I've grown so accustomed to wearing them now.
I don't even know where I have blue light glasses. I don't even know where mine are.
Last I saw, they were on the dresser.
They might be downstairs. So we just finished our podcast episode Was there anything on the top 10 list, or I guess top 12, if you include the honorable mentions, that we discussed that you would want to hear more about? And we could talk about it to our knowledge and,
Did anyone see The Great Conjuncture? I'm sorry, I'm still on this. I'm so upset about it. I even downloaded this app called The Night Sky, which is really cool. I made Nick come outside and look at it.
It is very cool.
So you basically like points it up at the sky, and it'll like highlight things in the sky and tell you what you're looking at. Most of the time we can't see anything in the city. We see like 4 stars maybe, but it highlights like all the stars that are up there, and then it puts together the constellations. And I'm always so amazed. Like, how did people back in the day see these constellations? How do you look at that group of stars and be like, oh, that's a fish, or that's a man with a shield and a sword? I'd be like,
there is a meme where
get the
someone
fuck outta here.
was like, it's like 3 lines, and it's like Greek astronomers, that's a bull or something.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I was
How'd they do that?
never able to see the shapes. Like, one of them's like a man's like a philosopher, others like Orion's like on a chariot or some shit.
Yeah,
And
I didn't know Orion's belt was like this whole massive person. I was like, oh my God. I was excited when I used to see the 3 stars on the belt.
Yeah,
I was like, there's more to this?
Can I just say, I always thought that the 3 stars on Orion's belt was the Little Dipper, but I feel like such an idiot because apparently it's not.
I thought it was.
I thought it was Orion's belt. I don't know anything about
You
astronomy.
just said that.
I thought it was the Little Dipper.
I'm pretty sure Orion's belt
Is the Little Dipper?
Is the handle on the Little Dipper.
God, I know nothing. But yeah, Forsen, it is.
We need to go watch Men in Black again and get this straightened out.
Why do you have to watch Men in Black? But it is a really cool app. If you live in a big city like we do, then yeah, it kind of sucks. The most stars I'll see is when we go camping, which we haven't even gone recently just because of everything. So, although camping is probably the best place to be right now.
Yeah, well, that's why I went there over the summer with my friends. It was like, this is the best thing.
Yeah, you went
do.
there with your friends, and then when I tried to book one, they're like, "Nope, got other plans,
Got other things to do."
Yeah, it was a load of shit, and I couldn't get my money back.
Well, it's all right. It's
It's just money. Yeah.
Yeah, but my whole science department was on like a group chat, and we were talking about it. And I went out a couple of times, and it was like too cloudy, and I was like, hey, is that it? And I was like, oh, it's just Mars. Whatever. Seen that a million times. And then I was like, oh, I read that the best time to see it was between 6:30 and 7:30. And they're like, nope, it's going to be below the horizon then. And sure enough, it was.
Yeah.
So I missed it.
Let me say, she was pretty mad.
Yeah, I was not happy.
I did not want to be next to her for like the next 7 hours.
It's not that serious.
No, well, you start talking about it a week later. Or maybe even a little longer. Stop. Why you know what? Fucking drink it. It's not even that good.
Anyway, but Snake Eyes was saying that organ sounds interesting.
He said that organ.
Dat organ.
That organ. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I put a link to it in the chat. You'll find it right on our Instagram. It's an interesting salivary gland. What?
Wasn't there another organ we recently discovered that's like right under the skin or something?
Under the skin?
And it was like, might be the biggest organ in the body. I feel like I remember, because when you first said that they discovered a new organ, that's what I thought you were going to tell me.
I don't recall this.
I'm going to look it up.
Biggest organ. Oh, man. There's no way there was another organ discovered.
Okay, well, everything I look up right now is pulling up the one you're talking about.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, this one says they may have discovered 2 new organs.
Oh, 2 new organs. Oh, shit.
But yeah, isn't it crazy that like there's so much we don't know about our own bodies?
Technically, yes, Lauren, you are correct. The biggest organ is the skin.
No, I'm not saying it was that. It was something else.
I don't know what you're trying to say. Get it together, Lauren. What organ did they discover under the skin?
I don't know. That's why I'm looking it up.
Hurry. I'm growing impatient and bored.
We talk about something else. You talked.
Me talk. I forgot. Let me turn the music back on. We'll get that fucking going. Gates of Gondor.
What?
That's what the song is called, The Gates of Gondor.
Gondor calls for aid.
Gondor calls for aid. Can I? All right. So we just finished watching The Hobbit. This is what we're going to talk about now. And it's mostly because Lauren's letting me talk about anything, and she's leaving me to my own devices. And we're going to talk about sword fighting in cinematography. It's really bad most of the time. You have a sword. The science of hobbits. I don't give a shit about them. I care about the fighting, the physics behind sword fighting in movies, and it's often so poorly done. You have a sword and a guy wearing plate armor, and if you're not familiar with plate armor, think about when you picture a knight in shining armor. That is plate armor, and so swords don't cut through that. They just don't. And I know every movie or video game or TV show that you've watched or played shows people in armor getting cut down by swords. But the reality is that it does not work that way. The sword will just bounce off the armor. Maybe if you hit him in the arm or the forearm or something like that, or in the hand, yeah, it might hurt, right? They might get a bruise there because it's just blunt force trauma, but it's definitely not going to cut. Even chainmail, even if they're wearing chainmail, yeah, it'll hurt because it's a very high pressure, right? The blade is very thin, you hit with a lot of force, so it's a lot of pressure on the area. So maybe it'll cut the chainmail, but it was gonna bruise really badly. Maybe if you're wearing just a chainmail shirt, it might, if you hit hard enough, it could break the forearm, but it might not take it off.
And yes, right?
Isn't that why the mace was invented? Yes and no. So the mace and axes are percussion weapons, and one of their functions is to penetrate plate armor. Yes, absolutely. However, what knights did to combat other knights, or what people did to combat plate armor, is something totally different called half-swording.
Well, here we go. Now look what you guys did. Nick's gonna demonstrate, most likely on me.
So you have a sword, right? This is the kendo sword. It's a practice sword. It's just made of bamboo. It's nothing crazy. And what they would do is, if Lauren's wearing armor, face me. Move your mic. So Lauren's wearing armor. What I would do is I would have my sword on my forearm, or maybe in my hand, one usually this way, or on my forearm, and what I would do is try to point the tip between the plates of our armor. And so the armor has a few weak points, which would be under the armpits,
Tickles.
under the neck, behind the knee, or sometimes the calf. Those are all going to be pretty good weak points in the armor. Anywhere where the knight or samurai, whoever, would have to bend. So there's going to be a break in the armor, in the shoulder or in the elbow. Those are usually covered with like a circular pad. In the shoulder, the armpit, you have to be able to stretch so they can lift their arms up to strike or turn. So there's going to be a lot of flexibility and virtually no padding or armor under the armpit, especially in samurai armor. But we're not talking about samurai armor. Let's talk about knight armor, because that's the kind of stuff you see in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, exactly.
They do. Yeah, they would just tickle each other's feet, and it'd be fine. First person to laugh loses. So you would try to take the knight down, and using your regular sword probably isn't the best option. What you would use is your dagger. So most knights didn't use a sword as their primary weapon. Their primary weapon was probably a spear or a polearm or a halberd or some other ranged weapon, something that you can thrust into your opponent, because high pressure with something like a spear or halberd could puncture plate armor if you knew what you were doing or had a really good spear. So you would use your ranged weapon as your primary weapon. If that broke, or you had to leave it, maybe you threw it at an enemy, something like that, then you would withdraw your sword as your secondary or your sidearm. You would often have a dagger.
Side piece?
It's their side piece. You would also have a dagger, which would be for very close range combat. You and another knight are on top of each other.
Oh shit!
And
Oh my god!
and you would use your dagger into the soft spots in the armor. You would try to remove the helmet, pull up the visor. You would do something
My god!
to penetrate those weak points. You really want to penetrate your enemy.
I'd be such a bad knight. Because I just would start laughing when I'd get uncomfortable. It's
You
like,
say that until someone's trying to murder you.
yeah, I just laugh. It's
So,
really bad.
so we're watching The Hobbit, and there was a human, not even a dwarf or something where you're like, oh, it's magic, it's a mystical creature. It's a human. He has a sword in
Are
his
dwarves
hand.
and mystical creatures?
Yeah, dwarves are mystical creatures.
Okay.
He has a sword in his hand, and he just punches an orc in the head, but the orc is wearing a full metal helmet, and like the orc just drops to the ground.
Yeah, he just drops
like-
like he's dead from that punch in the head
He
with
just-
a helmet on.
And he just gets knocked out. Like, are you kidding me? That guy's gonna break his hand. That orc's gonna stab him.
Like, I love these movies, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, but they are a little annoying to watch with Nick commenting on the side all the time.
Okay, it's not my fault that the choreography, not the choreography, but like the fight scenes are so unrealistic. So you have the big white orc, right? What's his name? Something the Defiler.
Yeah.
He's the main villain in the movie, and he's hunting the hobbits down. And this movie's like 10 years old, or 12 years old, so if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry for the spoilers. But at the end, when the main protagonist, or
Yeah,
I guess
statute of limitations.
the second main protagonist and the main villain are fighting, the villain, the orc, is using a type of flail. He's using an extremely heavy concrete block on a chain. And he's just whipping it around. And you see that weapon, you see a flail. Imagine a stick with a chain and then a ball with like a metal ball with spikes on it. And you hold the stick and you swing it around and you bash someone with the metal ball. That's called a flail. Weapons like that, if you have the main villain of the movie, they say it, he's high up, he's high ranking. He doesn't just control a small group of orcs, he oversees armies.
Yes.
He would not be using a flail. Knights didn't use flail.
Yes, thank you, Lauren.
Knights didn't use flails. They were considered to be weapons of the commoner. They were trained in spears, poles, swords, things like that. They didn't really use flails.
Well, it's an orc, baby. What do you want us to say?
I want you to say it's ridiculous.
Yes, it's so ridiculous. But we did, while we were watching these pretty much 3-hour-long movies each, we did come to the conclusion that if Nick were to fit in with any group of
Orcs are
people or creatures, he would probably fit in best with the dwarves.
Yeah, I think so. And
reason being is because when they went to like Rivendell, where the elves live, and the elves were like, oh, we'll give you some food. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we like you now. You saw them sitting at the table. It was like basically salad and lettuce and basically all greens. And the dwarves were like, I don't like green food. Where's the meat? And at that moment, we were like, oh, Nick would be a dwarf. He also acts like them a lot, and his beard matches pretty well. So,
yeah, I'm just updating our stream thing to say that we're discussing the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit trilogy.
I mean, we'll probably discuss a bunch of things. But yeah, dwarves are pretty cool. I think they'd be fun to party with.
You said you'd be an angry ENT. What the hell is an ENT? I know ENT's like the ears, nose, throat doctor? Would you be a very angry physician in this medieval world?
I think the hobbits would be pretty cool to hang with.
One I couldn't figure out where she would be better suited would be with the hobbits or with the elves. And hobbit seems like a weird choice. I don't think many people would be like, yeah, I'd love to live with the hobbits.
The living trees. Okay, that's in Lord of the Rings. That's why.
Okay, yeah. We haven't watched Lord of the Rings since last year, so like my knowledge is a little.
I'm trying to get him to watch it.
We just watched it last year. How are we gonna do it again?
I know, but now that we've seen The Hobbit, we can watch them in order now. I think it would be great.
It is very interesting how they set up Lord of the Rings. So they mention the name Gimli in The Hobbit. I think it's the first one. And then in the third Hobbit movie, they mention Strider, who we'll later learn is Aragorn, and so that kind of sets up the trilogy, or the three characters, Gimli, Legolas, and Aragorn, and how they kind of fit into the story. They also reveal that Gandalf knows Bilbo has the Ring of Power, and that explains why he comes back to him later to, get the quest to destroy the ring, at least give it to Frodo. I have not read the books, no. I am not a fan of Tolkien's writing style, where every single thing is, explicitly, in grand detail. And it's like, oh man, sometimes I just want to read a story, and I don't want to be getting full descriptions of the scenery. And sometimes I do, I'm reading The Witcher, and sometimes I wish it was a little bit more descriptive of the world, and sometimes I think it does enough. Sometimes I think it's a little too much. Because me personally, I can't picture the world fully in my head. When they're describing a scene in the Witcher books, I try to picture it as I'm reading, but sometimes I just can't get all the information to coalesce in my mind. So Tolkien probably isn't a great option for me.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's a little too much. Is it on my to read list? No. And I know I said that as if it might be, but no, it's just not. The Witcher's 7 books or something like that. So that'll keep me busy for a while.
Yeah, you got a ways to go.
What about you? I know you haven't read it, but would you be interested in reading them?
No. I'm a movie person. I love movies. I love getting lost in a movie and not having to read, exercise.
Not having to read.
I'm not a huge reader. I just finished a book not that long ago. So I'm taking a year break on reading.
It was easier in audiobook form. See, that might be interesting.
Yeah. That's good if you have a long commute and stuff. Now we don't have any commute. So now it's
the longest commute I have is walking up the stairs to get to the studio.
I know.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's.
That'd have been good to do when we lived in the old apartment. I had a 50-minute commute. That would have been great, but I don't know. Never thought of it. Never got into it. So, whoopsie daisy.
I was actually rereading Dark Matter by Blake Crouch after you suggested it on Discord, because it's so good. Definitely recommend. And you listen to audiobooks while you're in the garage or cleaning the house. That's usually when I listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Or I'm driving to the store, I'm doing some errands, or I'm just cleaning up. I'll throw headphones on and I'll start listening to podcasts.
Wait, when are you cleaning up?
When I used to clean. Now I'm too busy filming.
Making a mess? When I'm making a mess, I'll put on a podcast. Nah, stop.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with Dark Matter.
What is Dark Matter about? Without giving the whole thing away, because that would be what my mom would do immediately. Give me a little synopsis of the show. She'd be like, well, this so-and-so was the murderer. I knew it right from the beginning. And I'm like, thanks, Mom. Now I'm never going to watch that.
And then in the climactic scene, this happened. It's you just told me the last 15 episodes. I just wanted, a quick But it's interesting how people handle things like magic in their stories. So something, and I was listening to George R.R. Martin talk about this.
Yes.
And he, if you don't know, is the author of the Game of Thrones series. He was talking about how the use of magic in a series can highly dictate the realism of the world that you're creating. And he cited Lord of the Rings. And I happen to agree with this. I mean, it really depends on the genre you're writing. If something like The Witcher, where you're fighting monsters and you're, drinking potions to, like, increase your abilities and all this kind of stuff. Like, yeah, it's going to be highly magical and obviously outside of the realm of realism. But then you read something like Lord of the Rings, and magic isn't as prevalent. Magic exists, right? There are wizards, there are spells, there's old, like, dark magic, and in The Hobbit they talk about a necromancer, ring of power, but none of the magic is used very much. So
Right, because they were saying, what George R.R. Martin was saying, that, like, well, if, Gandalf and the wizards could just come and, like, obliterate entire armies with his staff and his magic, then why would you even assemble an army in the first place? Like, it takes over the whole plot. You just see him using a little bit of it here and there, like using his staff to light up dark areas or this, that. But he still takes out his sword and fights side by side with everybody else. And it just allows the plot to continue rather than always coming to a full stop because magic just obliterated everything.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, me personally, obviously we are suspending, suspended disbelief, right? Where magic is happening in the world. And there are elves and dwarves and orcs.
Yeah, I guess it's a skill. I don't know. How do you give a synopsis without giving it all away? All right, it's a sci-fi about a science professor and the multiverse. Okay. Are they going on a quest or anything? Almost like Stranger Things?
Or is it like pure magical fantasy like Lovecraft Country?
Yeah.
You get excited, like, and this happens and this happens. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize up until this past year, just lately, how much I do actually enjoy and like sci-fi.
Yeah, I enjoy sci-fi, but he's trying to save a family to thriller. Interesting. Now, Lauren might like that then.
Yeah.
Lauren's
like, I
into
love
thrillers.
Stranger Things. I loved Lovecraft Country. Obviously, I like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, maybe I am a little bit more of a nerd than I realized.
That's a revelation only to you. Everyone else knows you're a nerd. It's interesting. I think I enjoy sci-fi, like high sci-fi, less than Lauren. Like, Lauren, she loved Lovecraft Country, at least the series. And at the beginning, I really enjoyed it too. But then the magic became overwhelming. Like, they were just these Deus Ex Machina characters that, like, solved every problem and dealt with everything. And it's like, that's not a fun or interesting plot when there's no consequences for actions because some character can just deal with it with no problem using magic as like it's magic, so we can just do whatever we want. Like, I really despise that.
Yeah, Nick had a very long talk with me about it as if I created the show, and it was like airing his frustration to me. I was like, "Whoa, damn! I really enjoyed that. Try not to like take away my excitement."
I'm not trying to take away your excitement. I'm just pointing out what I happen to find interesting or annoying about a particular show. Sass, what is up, you beautiful son of a bitch? For me, when magic becomes overwhelming, or when plot armor is too strong, which is something that happened at the end of Game of Thrones, right? The main characters, like Jaime Lannister, Brienne, what's his name, Podrick, who else? Jon Snow, Khaleesi, like all these main characters are fighting hundreds and hundreds of what
The
do they call it?
Nightwalker?
Of wraiths,
Right, so.
and like the Night King's army, and none of them are hurt.
Wait, I always think about that scene.
Yes, I am holding a kendo stick.
When Daenerys got knocked off the dragon, right, and she had to pick up a sword, it would look like for the first time.
It probably was.
And it was like, and there were so many memes clipped about it, and they're like, Daenerys picking up the sword for the first time, and being like, "This is the most ghetto shit I've ever seen in my life." I was like, "Yeah, that'd be me." I'd be like, "What the frick am I supposed to do? Stop that!
Stop what?
I see what you're doing."
Oh, you saw because it was delayed. Son of a bitch! Damn it! Stream caught me.
I saw you doing it anyway.
Oh.
I think
yeah.
you're slick.
The only consequence. What was the only significant death? Theon Greyjoy, Jorah Mormont, like those two. But they're not even main characters.
I cannot say that name.
Jorah Mormont.
Yeah. Do you remember? I always try to say it.
Yeah.
Drawer.
Everyone watching play with a sword and she hit me, so that's something.
Well, I'm used. Trust me, I'm used to this.
But all these characters are sitting there fighting wraiths on top of piles and piles of wraiths, and it's just like none of them wearing helmets or anything, and that's something that really bothered me in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit is you have these big battles, and I get it. I understand you want everyone to see the heroes. You want them to see the main characters so that they can identify them.
Well, that's why there was such an issue with The Mandalorian. What was his name? The actor Pedro wanted to take his helmet off more. Wanted to be seen.
Right.
More screen time.
Yeah, but that's the actor. But like the creators and producers and directors want you to see the characters. They want you to know who's doing the fighting, who's doing what heroic feat. But in actuality, the one piece of armor you would never leave, or you never go onto a battlefield without, is your helmet.
Yeah.
And so to have these massive battles and armies and climactic fights, and you have all these characters without helmets, like, come on.
Really pissed Nick off, needless to say.
It really bothers me. Like,
Well, you know what? I'd like to look at their faces. So you know what?
And that's why they do it.
Yeah, because a lot of them they're good-looking people. So whatever.
Yeah, some of them are. I'm sure you find Gimli to be very handsome.
Gimli's hot, though.
All right, but do you know who Lauren found oddly attractive?
I had a big crush on middle school up until today.
No. Well, Aragorn, yes, but Tormund.
Why didn't you let anyone guess?
No, because I don't think anyone would ever guess that you would have a fucking hard-on for Tormund from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I don't know why. Definitely Aragorn over him, but
yeah, which is weird because Aragorn, like the actor, is not particularly good-looking. At least not to me.
Viggo Mortensen.
I guess.
Yeah, I will not watch any other movie with him because I don't want to like desecrate that image I have of him.
But now, who are we talking about? Tormund, or are we talking about Aragorn? Seems like they're talking about Tormund.
They both are wild men and both pretty hot. Yeah, I don't know. I like that wild man type thing. You know, man, it's like not held by the bounds of society, I guess. I don't know. But still has a good heart.
Tormund, but Aragorn is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember in middle school being like, me and my friend were like, oh, Aragorn. Oh.
Oh, man, what a nerd.
But then, like, yesterday.
Yeah, and then...
Not much has changed.
No, except now you're married.
How do you feel about this, Nick?
I don't care. Okay. Why would I care that you find a fictional character attractive?
Is it easier to swallow if it's a fictional character?
No, because Tormund's a real person. That's how he looks in real life.
It's true. He doesn't look any different in a suit. You're like, oh shit, guy looks crazy still.
Well, yeah, no, get me wrong.
Yes, yeah. See, See, I'm not the only one.
No, we ain't gonna be role playing like that.
We do have the swords to use.
Although I guess if she comes up to me with like fucking elf ears or something, I know what I'll be doing. Fucking pull out my sword.
Which one?
I don't. Well, I have a real sword over there.
Yeah, he has like a real like Aragorn type
It's
sword.
not an Aragorn sword. It's a custom sword.
It's like a knight's sword, though.
Yes, it is. It is a medieval style knightly sword. Yes, it's a one-handed sword. It has a purple grip and it has a custom symbol engraved in the pommel of the sword. It is very sharp and it's very beautiful. And I got it handmade, custom made because I wanted it.
I'm about to go put on Lord of the Rings.
You're not
I don't care what you
Lord
say.
of the Rings. Lauren, what are you talking about?
I'll
Alright.
put on a redhead wig.
I need to dye my beard red.
I think that would look cool with a little red in your beard.
But only half. Only half of my beard red. The other half.
A lot of beards do get that reddish tint. in
Yes,
them.
because of the sun.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was something else that really annoyed me about The Hobbit?
That you and Bilbo had very similar feet.
Me and Bill had similar feet, you fucking bitch. Okay. Put on some thick furs. Maybe if they were faux fur, sure. I'm not gonna get real fur. But yeah, I mean,
What was it? Was it Gandalf coming back to life? I feel like you were talking about that.
well, no, we were talking about Gandalf coming back to life because when we saw Saruman, we were like, "God, you fake son of a bitch."
Yeah, but like what a fake bitch.
But I don't think at the time he was faking. I think he was protecting Earth or Middle Earth
During The Hobbit.
during
yeah.
the Hobbit.
So we were trying to figure out when he turns
Yeah.
to be evil. And then we were talking about this, and we're like, all right, the entity of evil is Sauron, and then his name, the White Wizard, is Saruman, and we're like, did nobody see like there's like seems to be like a connection there?
Yeah.
Was this, nobody saw this coming, or like, I don't know.
Yeah. How do at what point are people surprised that Saruman is evil in Lord of the Rings? Like, I put it together instantly just based
Yeah.
on the names.
Well, and originally I was like, are these the same person? Like when as a kid, I mean, element or whatever it was, I was like, I'm confused, and I realized there were two different entities, but I'm like, well, there seems to be a connection there. You know, I seem to be like, whatever.
So
You know what I'm trying to say.
you're watching The Hobbit, and you're like, he seems like he's protecting Middle Earth, and then he goes and says, like, he tells the Elf King to go somewhere, and he'll take care of Sauron because Sauron was weakened by him,
Right,
the
and
Elf
they sent,
King,
like basically like sent him back to Mordor.
or wherever the hell, and he said, "I'll take care of Saruman. I'll take care of Sauron." And
the Elf King's like, "Are you sure, dog?" And he
So-
was like, "I'm sure."
well, let's backtrack for a second. In Lord of the Rings, Gandalf dies, right? Gandalf the Grey dies fighting the big red Balrog thing.
Right, and he's like, "You shall not pass."
Yeah, when he does that, so he dies. When he comes back to life, he comes back to life as Gandalf the White, because there is no white wizard to protect Middle Earth. Because at that point in the series, Saruman has turned evil. He's no longer protecting Middle Earth.
So
So-
Gandalf comes back and levels up.
He levels up.
Becomes the
and
White.
He takes the role of the White because that spot is vacant.
Right.
In The Hobbit, Gandalf dies, and the Lady of Light brings him back to life. However, he comes back as Gandalf the Grey again,
Right.
which tells us that the White position has not been filled yet, or has not been
Vacated.
vacant.
Yeah.
And so Saruman, at the time, is still technically protecting Middle Earth as
Now,
the White
is
Wizard.
this like is this
Is that
definitive?
confirmed? No,
Right,
that is-
or
that
is
is-
this something we're just like
that
trying
is-
to piece together?
That is my speculation.
Right.
Based on the very little bit I know about Lord of the Rings and how the wizard system works.
Right, but
Also-
I think it seems to make sense.
Where are the two blues in this?
I know. Apparently, there's 2 blue wizards. Like, it goes white, gray, brown, Radagast, and then 2 blues. But they never make an appearance.
Yeah. I have no idea. And why 2 blues? Why not blue and then something else?
Yeah, blue and pink or something.
Like everything else is 1, but then blue for some reason has 2?
Yeah. So I wonder if they're talked about more in the books. Like in the movie, they're quickly mentioned when Gandalf was like, "Oh, I must go alert them," but then he's like, "No, actually, I have to go somewhere else. It's more important."
Yeah, as far as what I was able to look up briefly, they
It seems like just Radagast is like, well, he's very big with the animals, but I'd say Gandalf's spirit animal would be those giant eagles. They seem to always show up.
yeah, I don't think the wizards have like a spirit animal like druids. I don't think they're druids like that. The green one, the brown Radagast just happens to take a liking to nature, and that's like his domain.
Right. That would
But
be
I
like
don't
me.
think they have like specialties like that.
Well, like that one creature in The Hobbit that like turns into that big bear-like beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do that at least.
No. They're color coded probably just to denote a hierarchy and a ranking system where white being the strongest and blue being the weakest, and then brown and gray being intermediates. Why that system? I can't say. Why do they have belt ranking systems in jiu-jitsu or karate? It's just to show skill and rank. It'd be really cool if each wizard, white, blue, gray, brown, whatever, had their own domain. Like one is responsible for the sea, one is responsible for the air, one's responsible for the earth, one's responsible for the underground. Like that would be really cool. It should be by the length of their beards. Interestingly enough, that was something that was kind of done in ancient Greece. Having a beard was a symbol of wisdom because you lived a long time. That's how you grew a long beard. So the longer your beard, in a way,
The wiser you are.
the wiser people considered you.
Damn,
So
well, then you were very wise earlier this year.
I matured very quickly.
Sometimes you look back on pictures from like the first quarantine and your beard, and I'm
The
like,
first quarantine,
holy crap.
back from like May, June.
Yeah.
When did we go to Bear Mountain?
End of August.
End of August. That was like the peak of my beard.
Yeah.
It was I look back at that. I'm like, I don't even like that. It was just. It was so much.
I
beard.
stayed with you the whole way.
You stayed with me the whole way. You even married me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Your mom was completely disgusted by you.
My
though.
mom hated the beard. She thinks this length is actually still too long, and there's like nothing there.
Yeah, no, I like this on you.
I would even do a little thicker, but I had my fill of thick beards for the year, so maybe next year. The wizards would be really. I wish they kind of fleshed that out a little bit more. I find the wizards to be very interesting. Like they were our spirits, which is how they're able to come back to life. They're just spirits that take the form of an old man.
Right.
And again,
I would like to learn more about them because I'm into that.
Yeah.
Into that type of stuff, and I get really interested when they talk about the history of each of the peoples, like whether it was the dwarves or Gondor, or the elves, what have you. But I love when they go into the history of each of them.
Yeah. Well, there's what's called a brief history of the Hobbit, I think it is, and so you might be interested in that.
Where's that?
Fucking Google it. I don't know. It might be a book or something.
Ugh, a book.
Ugh,
Did someone make
reading.
a video on it?
But it would be. I personally would think it'd be very interesting. But we were talking about Tolkien and Martin's views on magic in the world, or at least Martin's views on magic in the world and how Tolkien implemented it. And sometimes I think that there could have been a little more overt magic in Lord of the Rings. Like, what good is Gandalf as a wizard if he doesn't cast spells? Like, he's just knowledgeable. He just knows a lot of things, and he does a few spells. But like you said, it's mostly lighting up hallways or caves. Yeah. So why have a wizard? Why not just have a walking encyclopedia?
I'm trying to think of some of the things maybe he did.
He does the "You shall not pass" thing, and he summons the eagles, the big flying eagles.
And the Lady of Light, you can summon her, it seems, or call to her.
I think they have like a telepathic connection somehow.
Yeah.
And he just calls, like, he's like, yo, I need help. But yeah, I do wish there was just a little bit more overt magic. Kind of like, so what made Game of Thrones to me so appealing was that, like, there is this sense of plausibility. There's these White Walkers, these creatures from, thousands of years ago that have become myths and just stories to scare children. But there's, like, remnants of them. There's, like, these artifacts that suggest that they really were real and that they existed and that magic was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, like even the dragons, people were like, "Oh, there's no such thing. It's just a story."
Right.
And
Once
then, yikes.
They started in Game of Thrones. Towards the end of the Targaryen reign, the dragons they hatched were really no bigger than the size of house cats, and I thought that was really interesting. That like they were weakened and bred so much that they couldn't grow in size and I kind of wish that was the case a little bit. Obviously, the story would have been much different. Mm-hmm. But
why?
Why what? What do I wish?
Why would you wish they were? That would be like the end of the story.
Yeah, to a degree. I don't know, because the second you start building these massive war machine dragons and White Walkers and Lady of Light, like now there's starting to be too much magic. Jon Snow coming back to life didn't really bother me too much.
I totally forgot that even happened.
What other magic was there in the show?
Well, Bran,
the three-eyed raven thing. You fucking can view all of time, things that haven't even happened yet. You can like see the future and the past and all this kind of stuff, and it started just to become a little too much magic. At least in this show. The book is a little bit different. And I don't know. I guess
like they killed the dragon and then it came back as like a White Walker dragon and like, oh, come on.
Yeah, stuff like that. So a sense of realism. That was the showmaker screwing up. Yes, I agree. Absolutely. But I prefer series where there's this sense of plausibility, like, maybe there is more to the world than we know of, and I really like that. And at first, Lovecraft Country had that, and it quickly diminished. Lord of the Rings has it to a degree. Obviously, there are no orcs and elves and dwarves and stuff, but the level of magic that we see in the series is pretty minuscule. So I enjoy that. What I really enjoy with magic, and the Witcher series did this beautifully, is that magic can only be done at a cost. And Lovecraft Country does it to a degree as well.
Right. Yeah. Where was it that we were watching? I don't know if it was you telling me about The Witcher, or if it was in Lovecraft Country, but it was like anytime you use magic to gain something needs to be taken away. Like there's this equalizing factor.
Yes.
And what was that? Was that in Lovecraft where they talked about that?
Yes, it was, and it was also in The Witcher, and it was probably just me talking about it. So in Lovecraft Country, I don't want to talk about that too much because it's a pretty new series, and you might be interested in checking it out, but we'll talk about The Witcher, which, again, it's a year old, so I'm not I'm not afraid to talk about it and do spoilers. But there's a character, her name is Yennefer, and she's adopted or taken in, more sold by her family to a witch to undergo witch training and become a sorceress. And they talk about the cost of magic. The universe requires a balance, an equilibrium, and to gain through magic requires a loss of some kind. And they teach that lesson to the aspiring sorceresses very early on in the show, and I really enjoy that. Later, Yennefer wants to change her appearance. She goes from
almost like a hunchback.
She is a hunchback and kind of unsightly to being a pretty woman. I wouldn't say beautiful, but she's pretty.
I'd say beautiful.
And she does this transformation, and it costs her the ability to have a child. So the risk benefit is very interesting, and I think magic would have a cost. If you were to bend the universe to your will, what are you giving the universe back?
Yeah, I agree. What would you want? Is there anything that you would really want to be able to do, and then what would you be willing to give up for it?
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't necessarily have to. So to do magic doesn't always require a self-sacrifice.
Heyo.
Like they do in the show, they do some type of magic, but they have a flower and the flower wilts because they're doing magic. Like they're taking life from the flower to do whatever magic. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a self-sacrifice. Okay. And that's kind of where studying and understanding magic is so important to wizards and sorcerers, because they have to know what they're giving.
I just recently found out from Nick that there's different types of magic. Didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, this is more of a...
And I'm not just talking about black magic.
Yeah, no, there are different schools or classes of magic. So there's
So now who's the bigger nerd?
Yeah, there's enchantment where you give an item magical properties, and that's very common in video games. You got a magic sword or a magic shield or something. That's through enchantment magic. Then you have abjuration, which is shields and defensive magic. So to protect yourself, you create a ward. There's conjuration, which creates things. It could be objects or animals.
The conjuring.
Necromancy, yeah. The using or creation of lifeless beings, and bringing the dead back to life, or controlling the dead. That's necromancy. There is
necrophilia.
Necrophilia is loving.
No, dead. I know.
What is evocation, which is the production of something. So you see someone cast lightning or fireballs from their hands or from their staff. That's evocation.
That'd be pretty cool. Maybe I'd want that one.
And then there's nature control, which I don't alteration, which is an illusion, which changes the appearance. Alteration physically changes the object, and illusion makes you think you're seeing something or hearing something that isn't there. I'm sure there's more. Snake Eye definitely plays Dungeons and Dragons. If they know this,
D&D.
If they know this, you play Dungeons and Dragons, or you played a lot of Elder Scrolls, which is how I know this. And also, I played a little D&D. I tried it. I just couldn't keep up with the schedule. It was every week for 3 hours or something. I was I don't have this kind of time. EverQuest back in the day. Okay. And I'm not familiar with EverQuest too much. I never really played it. But I played Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and you have all these different schools of magic that you can...
Are you telling me talking about all this doesn't make you want to go throw on Lord of the Rings?
No, it makes me want to play Elder Scrolls.
Listen, it's either something magical or we're watching Sex in the City.
We have 2 Xboxes. Why can't you watch Sex in the City in the bedroom and I'll play... I don't even have time to play what the hell, Elder Scrolls tonight, because I still gotta edit this podcast episode.
Lord of the Rings, it is. Yeah.
I gotta edit the podcast episode.
I watch it by myself. Yeah. You think I need you to watch Aragorn?
Actually, you'd prefer if I wasn't there.
It's just me and Jerry sipping some warm tea, putting that Aragorn on play.
That's bullshit. That's not cool. Whatever, I don't care. Do what you want.
Yeah, it's a great night. This stuff's making me so excited about like watching something cool. I love that Netflix and shows will like, oh, if you watch this and you might like this. But I feel like every time we've gone to watch a show that was similar to something like this, it wasn't really that good. Like an almost like an off-brand night type show or magic show, and it just weren't that good.
Yeah, there's a show called, or I don't remember if it's a show or if it's a movie called The King.
Or I thought it was The Kingdom.
No, The King.
Okay.
And it has William Pattinson, or what is he, Patterson? William Patterson?
Robert Pattinson?
Robert Pattinson.
The guy from Twilight?
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson.
And Timothée Chalamet. They have them. And it's basically a story of the battle between France and England, specifically the battle of, oh god, what battle was this?
The Bayeux Tapestry?
Yeah, yes.
The Bayeux Tapestry was about it?
The Bayeux Tapestry depicts this battle.
I'm gonna look that up now.
I'm looking it up.
Will Smith. No, Will Smith.
What the hell is it? Oh god.
Just look up Bayeux Tapestry.
Battle of Agincourt. Battle of Agincourt. That's what it is. Have you watched that movie with Will Smith?
Is it the movie called Bright? That's what comes at
Modern Life.
action,
like magic
fantasy,
and stuff.
Urban fantasy
called
action
Bright.
film. I would never have guessed, like looking at the poster for it. Oh, but I guess so. Look at that guy. That guy's not a human next to him. So.
Why does Will Smith look like a Nazi?
Oh, he doesn't. He always has that mustache.
I don't know if it's just the uniform and the mustache, but he looks like a Nazi.
Maybe.
I'm just saying.
No, but maybe I will watch that now.
Okay. So if you had to choose one specialty of magic, it's a world where everyone is racist against orcs.
Wait, what? That movie, the Will Smith movie, was that guy an orc? He looks like it, kind of.
A little bit.
Okay, so if I had to choose one type of magic, are you asking me?
I'm asking everyone.
Okay. What was the one where you control the environment?
I don't know. 1 second, I'm writing it down.
Oh, and his orc partner. Whoa, are these supposed to be like the same orcs as like Lord of the Rings type thing? Orcs and elves. Wow. Interesting.
If you had to choose one type of magic, evocation, illusion, conjuration, I said illusion twice, alteration, enchantment, necromancy,
What's evocation?
is like the production of things. Like it's hard to explain almost the difference between conjuration and evocation, but again, when you think evocation, think like fireballs, lightning, stuff like that. And conjuration is like, I can conjure a sword in my hand, I can conjure a dog, I can conjure a big fire giant. Oh, abjuration. Abjuration is like defensive wards and like shields and stuff.
Peter was gonna die. Conjugation.
Conjuration. You would choose conjugation.
Yeah. Conjugating verbs.
You want to be really good at changing verbs in the present progressive tense.
Man, I haven't seen that word since I was studying Italian.
Yeah, right.
I like I think I like the idea of both evocation and conjuration. I'm just not sure which would be better.
Yeah, they're both super interesting types. I think for me, it's between abjuration and conjuration for sure.
What's abjuration again?
Defensive, like wards, shields, stuff like that.
What do you mean? What about shields? And
Like
stuff?
I can create like a protective aura around me. I can.
Yes, I could see why you would choose that, because Nick plays Destiny and he plays the Titan character that literally one of its things is that he creates this protective shield. It's like a half orb around you.
Yeah.
And so that fits you perfectly.
Yeah, like whenever I play like an MMO type game, yeah, I'm a bubble titan. Yes. Whenever I play any type of MMO or something like that, I always like to play the support and tank because it's just so much fun to me. Some people don't like it; they think it's boring, but I love it. Are we picking those powers for a specific kind of world? Does using the power cost you stuff? Most of the time, magic requires material that would be used up. So, in something like Dungeons and Dragons, in order to use a spell, you would need certain components, like a twig and whatever, certain rocks, or a piece of gold or silver or something, and they get consumed after the spell. So it wouldn't cost you like your life energy or your life force to do, but you would need the materials to do them, which you would know what those are, and let's assume that the materials are reasonable for basic spells. Obviously, the grand or more complicated the spell, the more costly or rare the components would be. However, what kind of world are we in? It's just a world where magic exists. Imagine a world like Lord of the Rings or Elder Scrolls or The Witcher or something like that, where like magic and monsters.
Where magic
exists. Anything is possible in a world of magic. Magic, creatures and monsters and stuff like that exist, and traveling on the road is dangerous, and you happen to have a vein of magic, and you have this connection to the magical ether, whatever it may be. Different games and movies use different ways of having magical powers. You consider some sci-fi to be fantasy because technology does anything you want. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so would we consider like Lord of the Rings and Hobbit fantasy or sci-fi? I think it's more fantasy.
It's fantasy for sure. I prefer and then there's things like high fantasy, which is like Lord of the Rings still might be considered like high fantasy, where it's like crazy fantasy, like never could happen, versus like fantasy, which is just
like you dating a supermodel. Like, what a fantasy.
Yeah, kind of. And then sci-fi is science fiction, obviously, where...
Yeah, but there's some sci-fi that's it's fantasy.
Yeah, sure.
Like, especially aliens and stuff, because we don't know they exist for sure.
Yeah, I think that can definitely be an argument for some sci-fi to be considered fantasy, but I think it really depends on the mode in which the show or book or whatever is kind of taking. The Dark Crystal is Out of This World, I'm not familiar.
Is that a book or a show?
If the mode or medium is technology or space-driven, I think it's probably going to fall more in the sci-fi category.
So then what would you classify Stranger Things as?
Fantasy. Because there's no technology, it's just all magic and
But apparently
monsters.
this stuff was created through like this Russian lab, or was caused by, so it gives you that sort of sci-fi aspect, like, oh, this has to do with science, like technology that went wrong.
Yeah, but what about like the humans that like the 11s and stuff? Like they just have brain changes in their biology that allowed them to do different things. Like one girl was able to do illusions. She was able to make people see and hear things that didn't happen. And you have Eleven that could, do
Yeah.
telekinesis.
Oh, okay. So I spoke to our efficient today because one of my friends wants to use him as well. And he's like, did they ask you for my number because they thought I was famous? Like, I look like that guy from Stranger Things, but I look like the guy that ate the guy from Stranger Things. And I died laughing because I never thought about it, but I was like, oh my God, you do kind of look like it.
Yeah, a little bit. And I didn't piece that together.
Yeah.
Jim Henson puppets in a magical fantasy world. That's interesting. Yeah. So if you had to choose a magic specialty, now knowing that information,
I don't even know what information you were just rambling on for a very long time.
okay.
I don't know if you ever actually answered the question.
I did when it's just a magic world like Lord of the Rings or The Witcher, where there's monsters and the roads might not be safe and other people might have magic and knights and all that kind of stuff. Does that change your answer?
I'm still torn between evocation and conjuration then.
Why conjuration and evocation, and what makes it difficult to choose?
Well, I think evocation just be cool for fighting purposes, like being able to shoot like things and to be like protect yourself. And then a conjuration, I guess you can conjure anything to help you.
Yeah.
I guess, weapons or like beings, maybe, I don't know.
I'm sure there's a limit to the things you can conjure.
Right, which I don't know the limit, so I don't know, but that'd be super helpful if you can conjure anything.
Yeah, I in the Elder Scrolls, when you use conjuration, you can conjure a few things. You can conjure like a sword or an axe of different types, like a long sword, a single sword. You can conjure like elementals, which are just like, they're like big beasts of fire or ice, and they fight for you.
Yeah, because if I was just conjuring weapons like swords and axes, then no, because I don't really know how to use them. I'd rather something I could shoot and keep distance without having to get close up and fight somebody.
Yeah,
so.
you can conjure like a dog or like a wolf or something like that, and you can conjure like a big flame monster to fight for you. But
Cool.
they only last a period of time. They're not permanent. They're not permanent structures.
Because that makes me think like I'd want to just conjure all the dogs.
Yeah,
all the time.
Conjure all the dogs. What world of powers would allow you to fly? Alteration. Maybe you can alter your body to fly, have hollow bones and fly, or you just
alteration
big powerful wings.
Like shapeshifter almost?
Not necessarily. It's just like the changing of objects. You're gonna Google alteration and get like tailors and shit.
No,
seamstresses.
Elder Scrolls and Skyrim came up.
Did you say like alteration magic?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe you can use alteration, like I said, to change bodily features to allow you to fly. That could happen, or it's a possibility, perhaps. I'm sure that would come at a price of some kind. Maybe you could fly, but you might not be able to walk.
Would you choose that? Would you fly if you then weren't allowed to walk?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's a good would you rather. Would you be able to fly but you lose the ability to walk? Damn.
I love to walk.
Yeah, but you wouldn't need to anymore.
I know, but like, what if you're like you're going walking with friends, and like you're trying to hang with the group?
You just hover.
But I was saying, like, do you hover? Are you like a ghost, kind of like
just floating
around, like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how well you could fly. Yeah, is it like Superman fly, where you just like poof, and take off, or is it like you need to lift like a bird? Because those are two different things.
And like, is the ability to fly like a well accepted thing, or are people gonna be like, "What the hell is that?" and like try to
shoot you
down?
Down.
Like, I'm just trying to hang on my friends.
Yeah, if we're gonna do this, I'm gonna have to make some concessions. And the first one is the flying is probably gonna be closer to like a bird. Right? You have to make some physical alteration to your body to allow you to get lift off the ground, which would probably mean wings of some kind. So you probably have to have wings, which means you wouldn't be able to just like hover. And would people accept it? I don't know. Maybe areas where magic is much more prevalent, like some of the like big cities.
Or maybe it'd be like Shape of Water, where they drag you off to some lab and try to study you.
Yeah. I would imagine in larger cities where I can, in The Witcher, a lot of the larger cities have, like, they each have a wizard to help with things. There, probably it would be accepted, but maybe in some rural areas or like smaller towns where magic is less utilized, they probably wouldn't accept it as much.
Bastards.
That's my guess. So, knowing that, I don't think I would make that change.
I'm gonna have to walk Jerry soon.
Yeah, we're gonna end this in like 10 minutes or so. So just because we gotta walk Jerry, and I have to edit this podcast episode. I would love to keep discussing this because I'm thoroughly enjoying it, but unfortunately, just gotta get this episode out at 9 a.m. and so I gotta edit it and do the transcript and all this kind of stuff, and we gotta walk Jerry. So, I definitely think I would choose Abjuration. Just because, yeah, you can attack me all you want with your fireballs, but if you can't get to me, or if it's difficult to get to me, then...
Fuck, what is Abjuration again?
Shields and defense.
Oh, yeah.
God, get it together.
Yeah, but can you ever really attack me?
I don't... Yeah, I can approach you and stab you with a sword.
Okay, I'm sure I could do that too if I had to.
Yeah, sure.
Or...
But okay, your primary... you and I are fighting for some reason. I forgot to wash the dishes again.
As
and
always.
You are trying to shoot fireballs at me, but you can't hit me. I can extinguish them, but they never reach me because of my shield, my protective barriers. I just go up to you with a sword. Now
And
if
your
you're
barrier?
Yeah, sure. Every time you shoot a fireball, I just put up a wall.
Huh.
Who's
Wow.
gonna win?
Well, your shield doesn't last forever.
No, I would put the shield up every time you shoot a fireball. As the fireball's coming, shield. As the fireball's coming, shield.
I'd catch you off guard once.
But that's why I wouldn't just have like a shield running constantly, because yeah, it'll run out of energy real fast. You have to have like for things like abjuration and conjuration. I'm gonna use those fleek eyebrows. Just what I think maybe isn't known about something like abjuration and conjuration is that they require concentration to do. Spells that last longer than a fireball being thrown or something happening kind of instantly, you have to focus on. And this is a mechanic in Dungeons and Dragons that is utilized pretty well. If you're going to use a spell for multiple turns, because it's a turn-based game, if you get hit, someone shoots an arrow at me while I am doing my spell, you have to roll a die, which the whole game is based on rolling dice, to determine me getting hit with an arrow or something, whatever event happening, break my concentration. Because if it did, the spell ends. If it didn't, I can keep going on the spell. So using something like abjuration and conjuration requires your focus. So you're not going to be able to just conjure something and run away and do whatever. You have to focus on that conjuration, because the second you stop or you can't hold it any longer because your power runs out, it goes away.
Alright, then I'm definitely going to do evocation, because I do not have a very good
Attention or
attention
like willpower.
span. Obviously, I can't even get it out. Can't even say it.
Yeah. And that does make things like abjuration, conjuration a lot more difficult. But they are very powerful styles of magic.
Evocation all the way. Shoot my spidey webs.
Why spider webs?
I don't know.
If you could fly, you could just nope out of any fight. Yeah, that's true.
I'd shoot a freaking lightning bolt at you in the sky. I might come down and do those damn dishes I said.
But if I'm at the sink, you just light the whole house up.
I don't know if you try to fly away.
If I
Snatch you
try to
back.
fly away out of a fight, while I'm in the air, just summon a thunderbolt.
Yep.
Got it. All right, yeah, I mean that's one of the downsides of flying. Thunder.
Snatch
Or
your
lightning,
ass
rather.
right back up. Gonna walk away from me?
God. See, that I think is one of the. She needs help. No, that's the thing. I need help.
Yeah.
I need.
Evocation is definitely my magic. The more I think about it, it's more me. I'm more like out of nowhere, just like go from 0 to 60, get real mad, just fucking shoot you with a fireball. Like that is me.
No,
for sure.
No, I think that's not even it. I think what makes evocation so like your style is more that you are very good at thinking on the fly. Like as soon as Snake Eyes said just fly at it, you're like the first thing that popped in your head, no, I'm gonna hit him with a lightning bolt. Like you can assess a situation like that and react and respond pretty rapidly, which is something that would be required of someone using evocation, because you'll need you can't fireball your way out of everything, right? So you have to be able to know when to use different types of spells, and that's something that I think you'd be pretty good at.
Listen, everything has its pros and cons.
Yeah,
and
it does.
nothing is all powerful, but yeah, that's definitely my style. Quick and easy. Not a lot of concentration, but I make my point known.
Yeah. And the more we discuss it, the more I think evocation is definitely your style.
For sure. Nick would choose some conjuring type shit that takes a lot of time, energy, and probably him to talk for a really long time or something. I think your I think your magic would be to talk someone to death. If I'm being totally honest. As Nick tunes me out and adjusts his sword so he could beat me after we sign off.
My style of magic would be I would use illusion magic to make you think that you are chained down and that you can't move, and so that I could just talk you to death.
Chained to a chair with a gag, and you're like, God, please make it stop.
I just keep talking.
You're like, oh, do you want to know the reason for brain freeze? So, this nerve and that. We're like, oh, God.
Okay, but as someone who fucking streams, isn't the ability to talk about anything for a really long time a good fucking quality?
Yes, I guess, but sometimes I do feel like you could have answered that with, like, a much briefer or concise sentence. And sometimes I'm like, man, we're still answering this question. Just saying. As a teacher, I'm always thinking about an economy of words. And how can I get my point across in as few words as possible?
It's
and
called
I think
brevity.
Yes. I think you're the opposite.
Okay, well, as a streamer, if I made my points in a very concise manner, this would be a pretty boring fucking stream, wouldn't it?
Yes, I understand. But that's what we're two different types of...
Let's
People
try
like
it.
that.
We're going to end the stream in the next 2-3 minutes. So, for the next 2-3 minutes, I'm going to be extremely concise. What kind of magic makes you turn green and muscly when you're angry?
I angered.
Alteration.
I feel like it's killing you not to say more, though.
No, I answered the question in as few words as possible.
Oh my god. All right, talk. You can talk. Jeez.
Gamma radiation magic. Sun magic.
Isn't it crazy to think that the sun creates gamma rays, and by the time that gamma ray reaches Earth, that it has stretched out and become a UV ray? I find that so fascinating.
Me too.
And my students cannot understand that for the life of me. I was like, it's the same energy. It's just traveling 93 million miles. So over time, it stretches out and it doesn't become as concentrated and intense.
You gotta give them the example of like swinging a rope or something. What happens to the rope? Where
I have a slinky in class I use. Like, they didn't like really frequent waves and then really long waves. And
brevity doesn't mean yeah, right. It means concise. But if I don't continue to speak on a topic, right, and I don't give that filler, then I don't have anything to say because we're talking about a particular. Let go of my sword.
Sorry.
If we're talking about a particular topic, I can't wait for chat to constantly be feeding me talking points or answering questions, because sometimes they don't, and there's a delay between when I say something, when you hear it, and when then you type something and I get to read it. So there's a long delay. So I had to fill in those gaps, and just keep talking, because otherwise.
R.I.P. Talkative Nick. You will go down in history as being known and remembered for your great talking points. I'm gonna go put on that Will Smith movie and then walk Jerry.
Yeah. Let's
heat up
end
some
this.
tea.
Oh, we're on Lauren today.
Oh, all right.
No, we're gonna switch this. I don't want it to be.
Oh man.
Do you want it to be on you?
I don't mind. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed.
Oh, it's on you again.
What started off as the top 10 scientific discoveries and events to everything about fantasy and magic. There you go. You can say goodbye. I'll allow it.
Thanks so much for hanging in with us and chatting. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed hearing about our top 10 discoveries of the past year, and also some of the shit that isn't real. I gotta keep it brief.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
I'm gonna get that shirt that says science is like magic but real.
Don't get that.
I'm getting it.
Anyway.
And I'm using your gift card to buy it.
Damn it. Thursday, we are going to be doing a new Pokemon Nuzlocke run, because I lost the last one. Oh wait, is Thursday the Pokemon tournament? Thursday we're doing some Pokemon stuff. I don't remember if it was a Pokemon card game or we're doing a Pokemon Nuzlocke run. Either way, we're doing something Pokemon related. So I hope you want to watch me lose something, video game.
Watch all his Pokemon die.
We're gonna be losing something. So if you want to come make fun of me, Thursday at 7 p.m. is the time to do it. That's Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, that's our next stream. So we'll see you on Thursday. Thanks so much.
And starting Saturday, we are streaming our podcast on Saturday.
Yes, we are streaming on New Year's Eve because we're lame and we don't really have any plans.
Thursday's New Year's Eve?
Yeah.
Oh shit, you're streaming on the eve?
I'm streaming on the eve.
Oh, me and Jerry will be watching Lord of the Rings.
What? Yeah.
Lit. Yeah.
Fucking litty titty. Anyway, thank you all so much, and I
Bye,
will
guys.
see you on Thursday for the last stream of the year.
Woohoo.
Woo!
You gotta end it
I
over
gotta
there.
roll over and I'm rolling over my sweater.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Got my chair stuck.
Just stand up.